The call came through at 2:17 in the afternoon. Beck had been watching the intercept feed from the moment Kang Soo-hyun left the building. A clean digital line running through a system that Hosyeo's organization had built for exactly this kind of situation. The kind where the people you needed to listen to believed they were speaking privately and the privacy was the most important thing to preserve right up until the moment it wasn't. Beck was sitting in a vehicle 3 streets from the safe house with a laptop open on the passenger seat, and an earpiece in and a paper cup of coffee that was considerably better than the one Jum had retrieved from the hospital machine. And when the intercept triggered, he set the coffee down and opened the secure channel to Hosyeo immediately. His message was 4 words. He made the call. In the safe house kitchen, Hosyeo's phone buzzed on the table beside the list. He read the message. He stood up from the chair, straightening his dark charcoal suit jacket with the single precise motion of a man who has been waiting for a specific thing and is now moving toward it, and he walked to the sitting room doorway. Mila was on the sofa with Seowa against her shoulder, one hand moving in the slow circular motion of a woman who has discovered in the last 3 hours that this particular baby found circular motions on her back significantly more acceptable than any other option. Jum was in the chair with his cartography book. He had not turned a page in 4 minutes, which meant he was not reading anymore but had not decided to announce that he had stopped. Jum, Hosyeo said. Jum looked up. I need you to stay in here for a while, Hosyeo said. Both of you. Jum looked at his father's face. Read it in the way he always read it. Filed what he found. It is happening, he said. Not a question. Yes, Hosyeo said. The call. Yes. Jum closed the book. Set it on the chair arm with the cover face up. Cartography, the study of making maps of unknown places, and looked at his father steadily. We will stay, he said. Mila looked at Hosyeo over Soa's small head. Her dark almond eyes were asking the same question Jum had asked and already answered, but hers had a layer underneath it. The layer of someone who knew that what was about to be heard in that kitchen was going to include her name and the architecture of everything that had been done to her, and the name of whoever had commissioned it. All of it, she said quietly. You said I would hear all of it. Yes, Hosyeo said. I know. Then I am coming with you, she said. Mila. I built M&M Group, she said. The same words she had used in the penthouse. The same voice. The same absolute quality of a woman stating a fact that was also a position. Whatever is on that call concerns my company and my life and the last 7 years of both. I am not sitting in a room while you listen to it without me. A silence. Hosyeo looked at Jum. Jum looked at Seowa sleeping against Mila's shoulder. I will watch her, Jum said. Hosyeo looked at him. You are 7, he said. Yes, Jum said. And she is asleep and she is on the sofa and I am right here and Ji-yeon is downstairs and Beck is outside. A pause. I will watch her. Hosyeo held his son's gaze for a moment. Then he looked at Mila. 2 minutes, he said. Then we listen. Welcome to Black Silk Stories, the home of Afro-Korean stories that hit different. Subscribe, drop a comment and do not go anywhere. This is only the beginning. Mila transferred Soa to the sofa cushion with the careful precision of someone who had spent the last 3 hours learning that this particular baby had opinions about the speed and angle of being put down, and Jum moved from the chair to the sofa in one smooth motion and sat beside his sister with his back straight and his hands on his knees and looked at Seowa with the focused attention of someone who has accepted a responsibility and intends to execute it correctly. Mila looked at them both. Her son in his deeper gray textured suit sitting beside her daughter on a sofa in a safe house in Seoul at 2 in the afternoon looking like the smallest and most serious security detail in the history of the city. If she wakes up, Mila said. I will come and get you immediately, Jum said. Do not pick her up, Mila said. Just come and get you, Jum said. Yes. I understand. And if she. I will come and get you, Jum said. With the patience of someone who has grasped the instruction and does not require it to be repeated but understands why it is being repeated, and does not hold that against anyone. Mila looked at her son. Then she reached out and straightened his already perfectly straight collar. It was not about the collar. Jum understood that. He sat very still and let her do it. Thank you, she said softly. Go, he said. We are all right. The kitchen was quiet. Hosyeo had his laptop open on the table beside the list and the intercept feed was running. A clean audio line, no interference, the quality of something that had been set up by people who were very good at setting things up. He pulled a second chair to the table for Mila and she sat beside him in her cream-structured blazer and white silk blouse with her back straight and her hands flat on the table, and she looked at the laptop screen and she waited. Hoseo put the earpiece in. Then he looked at Mila and held out a second one. She took it. Put it in. He pressed play. The first voice was Wu Jin's. She recognized it immediately. The particular timbre of it, the measured cadence, the way it always sounded like it was choosing its words a fraction of a second before it said them. She had found that quality attractive once. The considered nature of it. She had mistaken it for thoughtfulness. It was not thoughtfulness. It was calculation. It has been 2 days, Wu Jin said. His Korean was fast and clipped with the specific irritation of a man who has been waiting and does not like waiting. She has not returned. She is not responding. And I have been told she was seen at a hospital. The voice on the other end of the call was not Kang Soo-hyun. It was a woman. Mila looked at Hoseo. Hoseo's jaw was set. His eyes were on the laptop screen, but he was not seeing the screen. He was listening with the total focus of a man assembling something from pieces he has been waiting for. The woman's voice was calm, controlled. The voice of someone who was accustomed to being the most composed person in any conversation she was part of. I am aware of where she is, the woman said. This changes nothing. It changes everything, Wu Jin said. If she has spoken to anyone about the documents. She found the marriage certificate, the woman said. That is inconvenient. It is not catastrophic. The marriage certificate tells her about you and Yuna. It tells her nothing about the organization or the plan or anything that actually matters. She left before I could. You were careless, the woman said. Simply. Without heat. The way you say something to someone who works for you and whose carelessness has created a problem you are now managing. The folder should not have been accessible. The lock was. I do not need the explanation, she said. I need you to be still. Do nothing. Contact no one. And wait for my instruction. She is with him, Wu Jin said. The word him carrying a specific weight. A weight that told Hoseo exactly who Wu Jin meant before anything else confirmed it. She has gone to him. Which means everything we built for 2 years is exactly where I need it to be, the woman said. A pause. I do not understand, Wu Jin said. You do not need to understand, she said. You need to be still. Can you do that? A silence on the line. Yes, Wu Jin said. Good, she said. And Wu Jin. Yes. Do not call this number again, she said. I will contact you. The line went dead. Hoseo sat very still for a long moment. Then he reached forward and closed the laptop. He took the earpiece out. He looked at Mila. She was looking at the closed laptop with an expression that was working through several things in rapid succession. The woman's voice, what it meant that it was a woman, what it meant that Wu Jin reported to her, what it meant that she said exactly where I needed to be about Mila going to Hoseo. She knew, Mila said, that I would go to you. She planned for it. Yes, Hoseo said. Which means, Mila said slowly, that me being here is not an accident in her plan. It is a part of it. Yes, Hoseo said. She is using me to get to you, Mila said. Not just leverage. She wants me here. She wanted me to find those documents and run and come back into your world. Yes, Hoseo said. Mila took the earpiece out. Set it on the table beside the closed laptop. Looked at it. Who is she? She said. Hoseo was quiet for a moment. I do not know her voice, he said. But I know what it tells me. The way Wu Jin spoke to her. The way he reported to her. The way she managed him. That is not a partner. That is a director. Someone above Kang Soo-hyun. Someone who has been running this from a level I have not been looking at. Someone with enough reach, Mila said, to place Wu Jin in my life in New York. To know where I was. To know what I meant to you. To engineer 2 years of access to M&M Group. Yes, Hoseo said. And to know, Mila said, that if she pushed hard enough the night I found those documents, if her people were waiting for me outside that penthouse, I would run exactly where she needed me to run. She has been moving pieces for a long time, Hoseo said. 7 years at minimum. Possibly longer. What does she want? Mila said. From you access, Hoseo said. M&M Group is not just a company. It is infrastructure. Logistics networks across 12 countries. Shipping routes. Supply chains. The kind of architecture that people who move certain kinds of things across certain kinds of borders need. Mila looked at him. She wants to use my company, she said. She wants to own it, Hoseo said. Not legally. Invisibly. With Woojin in the marriage and Yuna in the organization, she would have had operational control within another year without your name ever leaving the letterhead. And from you, Mila said. What does she want from you? Me out, Hoseo said simply. Or me compliant. Either works for her. A man whose leverage has just walked back into his life. A woman he loved, a child she did not know existed, is a man who can be managed. Or removed. Depending on which is more convenient. Mila sat with this. Outside the kitchen window, the tree-lined street was doing its quiet afternoon business. A woman walking a dog, a delivery person on a bicycle, the ordinary city moving at its ordinary pace, entirely unaware of the conversation happening 8 floors above it. She made a mistake, Mila said. Yes, Hoseo said. She assumed. Mila said. That bringing me back into your world would make you vulnerable. She did not account for what it would make me. Hoseo looked at her. No, he said quietly. She did not. I need my lawyer, Mila said. Today. The clean phone Beck promised. Already on the table in the sitting room, Hoseo said. Mila stood up from the chair. She straightened her cream blazer. She picked up the second earpiece from the table and placed it precisely beside the first one and looked at them both for a moment. Hoseo, she said. Yes. The recording, asterisk, she said. Asterisk of that call. Is it clean? Usable. Every word, he said. Good, she said. I am going to need it. She walked toward the kitchen door. At the threshold she paused. The woman, she said without turning around. We need to find out who she is before she realizes we are looking. I know, Hoseo said. How long do we have? She told Woojin to be still and wait for her instruction, Hoseo said. Which means she is planning her next move. Which means we have as long as it takes her to make it. Then we need to move faster than that, Mila said. She walked back to the sitting room. Jum was exactly where she had left him. Sitting beside Seo on the sofa with his hands on his knees and his back straight and his dark eyes moving between the sleeping baby and the kitchen doorway with the regular rhythm of someone executing a watch rotation. Checking the asset, checking the entrance, back to the asset. He was 7 years old. Mila stood in the sitting room doorway and looked at him for a moment before he noticed her. Then he looked up. She slept the whole time, he said. With the satisfaction of a report delivered accurately. Good, Mila said. She came and sat beside him on the sofa and looked at Sioa sleeping with her fingers curled, and her face entirely peaceful and her complete ignorance of everything happening in the rooms around her. Was it what you needed? Jum asked. It was more than I expected, Mila said honestly. Jum looked at her. Is it worse than you thought? He asked. She considered this. It is more organized than I thought, she said. Which means it requires a more organized response. You have a plan, Jum said. I have the beginning of one, she said. Which is enough. Jum nodded, satisfied with this. He understood the beginning of a plan the way most 7-year-olds did not, as a real thing, a solid thing, not a vague intention but the first stone of something that would be built correctly. He reached over and picked up the clean phone from the cushion beside him. Where he had placed it, she understood, so it would be visible and accessible the moment she came back, and held it out to her. She took it. She looked at it for a moment. Then she dialed. The call connected on the second ring. Mila. Her lawyer's voice. Park Soo-yeon, Seoul-based, Harvard-trained, the kind of woman who answered calls from certain numbers at any hour because she understood exactly what those calls meant. I have been waiting. Where are you? Safe, Mila said. That is all you need to know about where I am. What have you done? Everything you called for, Soo-yeon said. Her voice was brisk and precise, the voice of a woman who had spent the last 2 days moving at the speed the situation required. The marriage is being contested. The prenuptial agreement has been filed for review. Your financial holdings are protected. I have begun the process of revoking Unipark's access credentials to every M&M system. The board has been notified that there is an ongoing legal situation, and that you are well and in control. Good, Mila said. There is more, Soo-yeon said. Tell me. Unipark, Soo-yeon said. She came to the M&M offices this morning. With Woojin. They attempted to access the executive floor. Mila was very still. And security turned them away, Suyun said. As instructed. But Mila, they had documentation. A signed authorization letter. Your signature. I did not sign anything, Mila said. No, Suyun said. You did not. Which means the signature is forged. Which is a criminal matter on top of everything else. They are moving faster than I expected, Mila said. Yes, Suyun said. Which tells me they know the window is closing. Whatever they plan to take from M and M Group, they are trying to take it now before the legal structure closes completely. What did they try to access specifically? Mila said. A pause. The logistics division, Suyun said. The international shipping database. Every route, every contract, every partner organization across all 12 countries. Mila looked at the window, at the tree-lined street below, at the clear afternoon sky above it. Suyun, she said. I need you to do something immediately. Name it. The logistics database, Mila said. I need you to make it look like they accessed it. A silence on the line. Mila. Not real access, Mila said. A ghost. A digital record showing that the access occurred. That they got what they were looking for. I want whoever sent them to believe they have the database. You want to feed them false information, Suyun said slowly. I want them to believe they won something, Mila said. While we use the time that belief buys us to take everything else. Another silence. Longer this time. Then, that is extraordinarily good, Suyun said. With the specific admiration of a lawyer who has just watched someone else find a move she did not see. Can you do it? I can have it done by this evening, Suyun said. Do it, Mila said. And Suyun. Yes. I have a recording, Mila said. Of a conversation that answers several questions we are going to need answered in court. I will send it to you through a secure channel. Do not discuss it on any line that is connected to the office. Understood, Suyun said. One more thing, Mila said. Yes. The woman, Mila said. Whoever is above Wu Jin and Yuna. Whoever directed this. I need you to begin looking for a financial trail. Someone funded 2 years of this operation. The apartment, the staff, the documentation, the forged signatures. All of it costs money and money leaves traces. Find the traces. I will begin today, Suyun said. Good, Mila said. Call me on this number only. She ended the call. She held the phone in her hand for a moment. Jum was looking at her with those serious dark eyes. You just did something, he said. Yes, she said. Something they will not see coming, he said. That is the plan, she said. He was quiet for a moment. Then, my father does that, he said. Makes the move nobody is watching for because they are looking at the obvious one. Mila looked at her son. Does he? She said. Yes, Jum said. He says, the move that wins is never the one the room is expecting. Mila held his gaze for a moment. He is right, she said. I know, Jum said. Simply. As though this was simply a fact about his father the way being 7 was a fact about himself. Hoseo appeared in the sitting room doorway. He looked at Mila. Then at the phone in her hand. Then at her face. Suyun, he said. Yes, she said. It is moving. Wu Jin and Yuna went to M&M this morning, he said. I know, she said. Suyun told me. Forged signature. They tried for the logistics database. Did they get it? They think they did, she said. Hoseo looked at her for a long moment. Then something moved across his face. Not quite a smile but in the same territory as one. The expression of a man who has just seen something he finds genuinely impressive and is not going to pretend otherwise. You fed them a ghost, he said. By this evening, she said. While they think they have what they need, he said. We use the time, she said. He looked at her. She looked at him. And in the chair across from the sofa Jum turned a page of the cartography book he had reopened and said, without looking up, I told her. The move that wins is never the one the room is expecting. Hoseo looked at his son. Then at Mila. Yes, he said quietly. It is not. The afternoon moved the way afternoons moved in safe houses, slowly, with a particular quality of time that knows it is being used for something important and is not going to rush itself on anyone's behalf. Hoseo was back at the kitchen table. The list had a second item crossed through now. Find out what Wu Jin was supposed to deliver and to whom. And a third item written below it in the same clean, deliberate handwriting. Find the woman. 3 words. The simplest item on the list and the most complicated. Because finding someone who had remained invisible for at minimum 7 years, someone with enough reach to place operatives across 2 continents, enough sophistication to build a 2-year operation inside a billionaire's life without a single visible seam, enough discipline to manage Kang Soo-hyun and Wu Jin and Yuna as separate instruments of the same plan without any of them knowing the full picture, was not something that happened in an afternoon. But it started in an afternoon. Everything started somewhere. He had the recording. He had Beck running the voice through every database his organization had access to, and his organization had access to databases that did not officially exist, which was the kind of access that occasionally produced results that officially available databases never could. He had Soo-hyun looking for the financial trail. He had the ghost in the database buying time. What he needed now was the one thing that none of those things could give him. A name. He picked up his phone and made a call. It connected after 3 rings. "It has been a while," said the voice on the other end. Male. Korean. The particular texture of a man who had been in difficult rooms for a long time, and had developed the specific vocal quality of someone who said very little and meant all of it. "Han," Hoseo said. "I need something." "You always need something when you call," Han said. Without resentment. It was simply an observation about the nature of their relationship. "A voice," Hoseo said. "I am going to send you a recording. 40 seconds of audio. A woman. Korean. Educated. The kind of composure that is not natural, it is trained. She is managing someone below her in a structure I am still mapping. I need to know who she is." A pause. "What kind of structure?" Han said. "The kind," Hoseo said, "that has been running for 7 years without anyone noticing." Another pause. Longer. "Send me the audio," Han said. "Tonight," Hoseo said. "I will be in touch," Han said. The call ended. Hoseo put the phone down. He looked at the list. Then he looked at the kitchen doorway, at the sitting room beyond it where the sounds of the afternoon were arriving in small pieces. Mila's voice, low and even, on another call. The soft sounds of Sioa cycling through her afternoon repertoire of sleeping and waking and announcing herself and sleeping again. And underneath both of those, the particular silence of Jum, which was not an absence of sound but a presence of attention, the specific quality of quiet that a child produced when they were thinking about something seriously. Hoseo had known that silence for 7 years. He knew what it preceded. He was not wrong. Jum appeared in the kitchen doorway at 4:15 in the afternoon. He was still in his deeper gray textured suit, still fully buttoned, still immaculate, as though the suit was simply his natural state and anything else would have required more explanation than it was worth. He had the cartography book under his left arm. He stood in the doorway with his right hand holding the door frame lightly, and he looked at his father at the kitchen table with the expression he used when he had arrived at something and needed to present it. "Daddy," he said. "Yes. I have been thinking," he said. "I know," Hoseo said. "Sit down." Jum came to the table and sat in the chair across from his father, the same configuration as the apartment, the desk and the reading chair, the geometry of their most important conversations. He placed the cartography book on the table in front of him with the cover face up. Hoseo waited. "The woman on the call," Jum said. Hoseo looked at him. "You heard," he said. "The kitchen door was not fully closed," Jum said. Without apology and without the performance of guilt that the situation did not require. He had heard what he had heard. The fact of it was the fact of it. "What about her?" Hoseo said. "She said, everything is exactly where I need it to be," Jum said. "When Wu Jin told her that Mila had gone to you." "Yes," Hoseo said. "Which means," Jum said, "that she wanted Mila to come to you. That was the plan. Not a problem for the plan itself." "Yes," Hoseo said. "I know. So the plan," Jum said carefully, "is not about M&M Group." Hoseo went still. Not because his son had said something wrong. Because his son had said something he had not yet said to himself with that particular clarity. Had been circling it, approaching it from the outside, but had not yet walked directly into the center of it and stood there and looked at it the way Jum was looking at it right now. "Go on," Hoseo said. "M&M Group is part of it," Jum said. "The logistics database, the shipping routes, that is real. She wants that. But she could have taken that without bringing Mila back to you. She could have let Wu Jin continue for another year and taken it quietly. She did not do that. He paused. She pushed. She let Mila find those documents. She had people waiting outside the penthouse. She made Mila run. Yes, Hoseo said. So the question, Jum said, is not what she wanted from M&M Group. The question is what she wanted from making you and Mila be in the same place at the same time. The kitchen was very quiet. Outside the window the tree-lined street continued its afternoon. A child on a bicycle. An old man on a bench with a newspaper. The city doing its ordinary things. Hoseo looked at his son, 7 years old, sitting at a kitchen table in a safe house in a deeper gray textured suit with a cartography book in front of him, having just walked directly into the center of a problem that Hoseo had been circling from the outside. She wants us both, Hoseo said, hearing it out loud for the first time. Together. In one place. With something between us that can be used. Coa, Jum said quietly. The word landed in the kitchen like a stone in still water. Yes, Hoseo said. She did not know about Coa, Jum said. She could not have planned for the baby. But she knew about you and Mila. She knew that if Mila came back, if she ran to you, there would be something between you again. Something she could reach for. A pressure point, Hoseo said. Something you would not sacrifice, Jum said. Something that would make you do what she asked rather than fight. Hoseo sat back in the chair. He looked at the ceiling for a moment, the clean white safe house ceiling with its ordinary light fitting, and he processed what his son had just handed him with the specific efficiency of a man who needed to move from understanding to action without losing time between the two. Then he looked back at Jum. You understand, he said, what this means. It means, Jum said, that we are not just protecting Mila and Coa from what already happened. We are protecting them from what is coming next. Yes. And what is coming next, Jum said, is her using them to ask you for something. Yes. Which means, Jum said, we need to know what she is going to ask before she asks it. Yes, Hoseo said. We do. Jum looked at the cartography book on the table in front of him. At the cover. At the title. At the image of an old map with lines running across unknown territories marking routes that someone had traveled and recorded, so that others would not have to find them blindly. In cartography, he said, when you do not know the territory, you map the edges first. You find the boundaries. And from the boundaries you can calculate what is in the middle even before you see it. Hoseo looked at his son. The book. At the 7-year-old boy in the deeper gray suit, who had just used a book about maps to explain a strategic principle that Hoseo had learned at 30 from a man who had spent his life in difficult rooms. What are the edges? Hoseo said. Not a question. An invitation. The woman has been running this for 7 years, Jum said. That is one edge. She is patient. Whatever she wants, she is willing to wait for it. Yes. She has resources across 2 countries at minimum, Jum said. Korea and America. That is another edge. She is not small. No. She knows your organization well enough to place someone inside it for 9 years, Jum said. Kang Soo-hyun. Which means either she built someone inside your organization or she turned someone who was already there. Yes, Hoseo said. Either way she had access to everything I know. And she knows, Jum said, that you will not sacrifice the people you love. That is why she is using them. Which means, he paused. She knows you. Not just your organization. You specifically. Who you are. What you protect. Hoseo was very still. She knows me, he said. Yes, Jum said. I think she does. The kitchen held this between them. From the sitting room came the soft sound of Coa waking. Not the loud announcement of genuine hunger, but the smaller preliminary sounds of a baby deciding whether she needed attention yet. And behind it Mila's voice, low and immediate, the voice of someone who had been listening even while she was on a call. Hoseo looked at the doorway, then back at his son. You should have been born older, he said. Jum considered this seriously. I do not think so, he said. I think 7 is the right age for this. Why? Because, Jum said. Nobody expects anything from 7, which means I can see things that people who are expected to see things are too visible to notice. Hoseo looked at his son for a long moment. Then he stood up from the table. He picked up his phone. He sent Han the audio file. Then he typed a second message to Beck. I need everything on Kang Soo-hyun going back 20 years. Not 9. 20. Before he came to me. Who employed him? Who trained him? Who he reported to? Everything. Beck's response came in 11 seconds. Already running. At 5:40 in the evening, Mila came to the kitchen. She had been on 3 calls, Soo-hyun twice and a third call that Hoseo had not asked about and she had not explained, which he respected because she had said she was not a person who stepped back and let someone else clean the room, and he believed her, and respecting that belief meant not requiring her to account for every move she made. She had changed. Not into something elaborate. The safe house was not a place for elaborate, but she had found in the bedroom a dark navy wrap dress that Ji-yeon had included in the clothes she sourced, and she was wearing it now with the cream-heeled boots, her hair still loose around her shoulders, and she looked not like someone who had given birth 2 days ago and spent the night on a dark Seoul street and been discharged from a hospital in a morning and received the full truth of 7 years of conspiracy in a kitchen. She looked like someone who had processed all of that and come out the other side of it with her back straight and her eyes clear and a plan that nobody was going to see coming. She sat down at the kitchen table. She looked at the list. At the 2 crossed items in the third. Find the woman. I know who she is, Mila said. Hoseo looked up from his phone. Tell me, he said. Her name is Eleanor Kwon, Mila said. She is 61 years old. Korean American. She built a private equity firm in New York 20 years ago. KW Capital. On paper it is legitimate. It has legitimate investments, legitimate clients, legitimate returns. On paper, Hoseo said. Under the paper, Mila said. It is a structure. A way of moving money and influence across borders without any of it looking like what it is. My third call was to someone who has been investigating KW Capital for 2 years on behalf of a client I am not able to name. They have been building a case. They have been missing the Korean connection. Kang Soo-hyun, Hoseo said. And the logistics routes, Mila said. M&M Group is the missing piece of their investigation. The infrastructure that explains how the money moves from the investment structures into physical supply chains. She was going to use your company, Hoseo said, to complete a structure that someone else has been trying to dismantle for 2 years. Yes, Mila said. Which means my company is not just her target. It is potentially the evidence that takes her down. The kitchen was very quiet. Eleanor Kwon, Hoseo said, testing the name, running it through everything he knew. I have heard that name. You should have, Mila said. She sat on the board of 3 organizations that intersect with your world. Not directly, always one layer removed. Always with someone between her and the thing she was connected to. One layer removed, Hoseo said. Always. She is patient, Mila said. And she is very good at not being the thing people are looking at. Until now, Hoseo said. Until now, Mila said. Hoseo looked at the list. He drew a line through the third item. Find the woman. He wrote a fourth. Eleanor Kwon. He looked at it for a moment. Then he looked at Mila. You did all of this, he said. In 3 phone calls. In 1 afternoon. I had the recording, she said. And I had a contact who had been looking for this connection for 2 years. I simply gave them the piece they were missing. In exchange for, Hoseo said. In exchange for, Mila said. Eleanor Kwon being taken down in a way that is entirely legal, entirely public, and entirely permanent. And for M&M Group being formally recognized as a cooperative witness, rather than a compromised institution. You protected your company, Hoseo said. I protected my company, she said. And I handed Eleanor Kwon to people who have the legal authority to do what needs to be done with her. Without anyone having to do anything that cannot be explained in a courtroom. Hoseo looked at her for a long moment. The kitchen light was the particular quality of late afternoon, warm and specific and making no allowances for anything that was not exactly what it was. Mila, he said. Yes. I have missed you, he said. Not the way your mind works. Not a careful, contained version of the thing. The whole thing. She held his gaze. The kitchen held them both. And from the sitting room came the sound of Jum's voice, calm and even and entirely conversational, saying to Seowa, who was awake and being held and looking at the world with the unfocused intensity of a 2-day-old. You cannot understand me yet. But I want you to know that the people in this kitchen are going to be all right. Both of them. I have been watching and I am fairly certain. A pause. Also you have her cheekbones. he said. Which is correct. They suit you. In the kitchen, Mila pressed both hands flat against her mouth. Hoseo looked at the doorway. Something settled in his chest that had been trying to settle for 7 years, and had not had the right conditions until this specific afternoon in this specific kitchen in this specific city that had held all of it without knowing. His phone rang. Han. He answered. The voice, Han said. Without a preamble. I have it. Tell me, Hoseo said. The woman on your recording, Han said, is not Korean. She is performing Korean. Fluently. Perfectly. But it is a performance. The underlying vocal structure, the breath pattern, the consonant formation, it is American. Korean American. Educated on the East Coast. Private school. She has been using this performed register for a long time. Long enough that most people would never catch it. Most people, Hoseo said. I am not most people, Han said simply. Her name, Hoseo said, is Eleanor Kwan. A pause on Han's end. You already knew, Han said. I just found out, Hoseo said. From someone who found out a different way. Then you have it confirmed from 2 independent sources, Han said. Which is what you need. Yes, Hoseo said. Thank you, Han. One more thing, Han said. Yes. Eleanor Kwan, Han said, did not build KW Capital alone. There is a partner. A silent one. Someone whose name does not appear on any document and whose involvement I can confirm but cannot yet prove. Tell me what you can confirm, Hoseo said. That the silent partner, Han said, is Korean, based in Seoul, and has been in a position of significant influence in this city for a very long time. How long? Hoseo said. Long enough, Han said, to have known about you before you knew about yourself. The line was quiet for a moment. I will find the name, Han said. Give me 48 hours. You have 24, Hoseo said. Han hung up. Hoseo put the phone on the table. He looked at the 4th item on the list. Eleanor Kwan. He wrote a 5th item beneath it. The silent partner. He looked at those 3 words for a long moment. Someone in Seoul. Someone with significant influence. Someone who had known about Hoseo long enough to build a 9-year operation inside his organization. Someone patient enough and powerful enough and invisible enough that 2 independent investigations had not yet found their name. Someone who was not Eleanor Kwan's employer. Someone who was her equal. Which meant this was not one person's plan. It was 2. And one of them was here. In this city. Possibly. And this was the thought that Hoseo did not allow himself to complete but which arrived anyway in the particular way that the thoughts you do not allow yourself to complete always do. Possibly someone he had been in the same room with. Recently. His phone buzzed. A message from Beck. Boss. Kang Soo-hyun just made contact with someone. Not Woojin. Not Eleanor Kwan. Someone new. We have a location. You need to see this. An image followed. Hoseo opened it. He looked at it for a long time. Then he set the phone face down on the table very carefully, with the specific carefulness of a man who needs his hands to be doing something deliberate, so that the rest of him does not do something unrehearsed. Because the person in the image that Beck had sent, the person that Kang Soo-hyun had just made contact with, was someone Hoseo knew. Not from a distance. Not from a report or a database or a name on a list. Someone he knew personally. Someone who had been at his table. Someone who had looked him in the eye. Someone who, and this was the thing that Hoseo sat with in the quiet kitchen with the late afternoon light and the sound of his son talking to his sister in the next room and the smell of coffee going cold beside the list. Someone who had been at Jum's birthday. Last year. To be continued in episode 6. Episode 5 of Daddy I Found Them. And we need everyone to sit down for a moment. Eleanor Kwan has been named. The ghost is in the database. Jum mapped the edges and found the center. Mila made 3 phone calls and dismantled 2 years of construction in an afternoon. And then Beck sent an image. And the person in that image was at Jum's birthday. Last year. Episode 6 is where everything Hoseo thought he knew about the people closest to him gets taken apart and rebuilt into something much darker. Subscribe right now. Drop a comment and tell us. Did you feel it when Jum talked to Seoa? Share this with everyone. Black Silk Stories. We are nowhere near the end and that is exactly as it should be.